Live. All right. So here we are. We are on. So I want to thank everyone, as always, for joining us this morning on Third Eye Salon, whether you are brand new or if you are one of our tribes people that shows up in our chat and hangs out with us. Thank you and welcome. And we are so happy that you're here with us today. So on Third Eye Salon, in each and every show, we take a fresh look between the veils of reality. And the themes in terms of what we look at can change from day to day, from time to time. And today we are taking a fresh look between the veils of our long lost connection to our Sasquatch family and how to reunite with them. So I want to welcome everybody in the salon, and let's say hello to my bestie, Linda Coulter-Burge, psychic and conscious business coach. Linda, how are you doing? Love to see you.
Hi, everybody. I'm doing phenomenal, and I am so excited about today. This is still very brand new to me, and so, but I'm just really excited to hear all that we have to share today. And we already have some wonderful people watching, so thank you for already being here.
Excellent. I love it. And Jillian, Kundalini, OBE, and ET, and Spirit Experiencer. Hey, Jillian, how are you doing?
I'm doing good today. I am so excited to learn about the Sasquatch as well. It's one of the avenues that I've dabbled in a bit within the show, but now, I don't know, it seems like my interest is peaking quite a bit, and I'm finding myself trying to connect to them more frequently, and I'm so excited to hear what Kelly has to say.
Yeah, and speaking of Kelly, welcome Kelly Rainbow Butterfly. We are so happy that you are here with us today. Welcome to the show. Love your
Thank you. Thank you. And I'm honored to be here. Thank you for asking me to on here today to share with you guys.
Absolutely. It is our pleasure and our privilege. So I don't know if you, Kelly, there's some, I think, background noise happening. I don't know if there's someone watching TV really loud in the background. I don't, if is that not you? Okay, I'm hearing, is anyone else hearing like little blips of sound coming through? Is that
I'm
just
hearing
me?
it.
You're hearing it?
I'm hearing it
Okay.
too.
All right. So we don't,
I'm
none
going to
of us
look
have
and
it in
see
our
if I
back.
might have something open.
Okay.
My son's bedroom is just a couple doors down, and well, yeah, and he's not making noise right now, but you might occasionally hear Legos crashing or something. So.
Okay. Well, maybe we just got some we might just some ET chatter going on in the background. It's like there's a conversation going on in another room. So we'll just make our way through that, and maybe that will clear itself out with our unseen tech support on the other side.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So, and also just so you know who I am, I'm Kat Udero, empath, entrepreneur, and psychic wrangler, and I wrangled all these psychics in today for this show. So, just so you know, if you don't know already, Linda is going to be limiting the live stream chat. So we do have rules around that. That if you're somebody who's showing up and you're looking to create a disturbance, or you're looking to just kind of force your opinions on people. We don't do that here. We're respectful. If this conversation is something that you need to correct and try to close down, then just pop off and go someplace else, because we just don't have space for it. And Linda will lovingly excuse you from our room. So I want you to also know that down in the description box below, we have all of Kelly's links. We've got our links as well. We've got our Facebook events page. We'd love for you to join. We have our Facebook group. And also we have a place to donate to Third Eye Salon, where you can buy us a virtual coffee. So, and thank you to everyone who has donated. We have so many people that have donated to us, and we just want to thank you and honor you and say how much we appreciate your showing up and giving us that patronage. Yeah, your love is what makes the show run. So thank you. Now we're going to go into Kelly's bio before we do a conversation with her about not just the Sasquatch people, but also Kelly herself, because we could do a whole show on Kelly because she's just fascinating. Kelly Rainbow Butterfly is an author, editor, and publisher for Rainbow Butterfly Productions and the Sasquatch Message to Humanity channel book series. She is in service to others as a Rainbow Reiki practitioner, marketing specialist, and as a heart. That is a heartist. specializing in Orgonite. And I definitely want to talk to Kelly about that. Kelly is a multidimensional accelerator and a clairvoyant, and facilitates others to understand their galactic and karmic heritage, and offers personal readings with this crystal skull, Mihunka. Did I say that right? We're going to find out in a little bit.
Yes.
I did. Yay. Okay, good. In Kelly founded the Children of Earth Coalition, COEC, an alliance of worldwide community members committed to the regeneration of Earth and all living beings. The COEC's goal is to develop spirit and nature-based education programs, events, and WHOLEistic, WHOLE, holistic centers. COEC is a tree with many branches of outreach and education, such as Sasquatch family reunion and spiritual healing events, intenders of the highest good intentional community, Stargazer Library and Education Center, Sacrednicities, I love your wordplay, Kelly, Sacrednicities channel on the Fringe TV network on Roku, Zale Productions on YouTube, community involvement with Riverwood Community School and Oak Street Artisan Market and other local communities with Stevens County, within Stevens County, and that's in Washington. So again, welcome, Kelly. We are just so pleased that you are here. And if our audience, as we're watching that, if you were curious or excited or in any way interested about Sasquatch and your connection to the Sasquatch, go ahead and give us a thumbs up and let us know that you're into the conversation. We'd really appreciate that. So Kelly, let's dive in first. And I kind of want to start with your name, Kelly Rainbow Butterfly. How did that come to you? How did that evolve?
Well, my maiden name, I was born as Kelly Butterfield. And so throughout my whole life, Butterfly was kind of a nickname, or it wasn't so strongly used, but it's something that I just felt was really strong association and connection to. The name Butterfield is actually derived from the word butterfly, and the name butterfly meaning peace. And so even on the family crest, it's a large picture of a butterfly. And so, you know, that's kind of like the more of the origins of it. As far as the rainbow part goes, I've just always been a huge fan and supporter of rainbows and colors, and you know, color therapy even, or like I said, I do Rainbow Reiki, where you know, so it's working with the chakras and integrating certain colors into different areas to bring balance. You know, so there's a lot of associations. Plus, I'm just bright, and you can see what I like to wear and everything like that. So that's that's a part of all the rainbow association with me. So but also in 2014 I was gifted the spirit name Kelly Rainbow Butterfly. The elder that gave me that name knew of my connection, you know, with rainbows and butterflies. So that's part of the reason that it was given, but it's actually a spiritual tribal name for me as well.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I think it's kind of good to let people know that, because initially when you hear the name Kelly Rainbow Butterfly, you can think, oh, and not to be disparaging against hippies, I've got an inner hippie, but you can think like, oh, hippie dippy, airy fairy, but you're so grounded. Like, so it's kind of like this interesting contrast between the part of you that's like mystical, magical, colorful, and the part of you that's really rooted as well. You know, it's an interesting dichotomy.
I'm a Taurus. I'm a fixed earth sign. So I have that on my side there. Otherwise, I'd just be floating away. So
I relate to that one. I totally relate to that one. I do just float away. And Linda's like, come back. Come back.
Yeah.
I hold the string to cat fight.
Making sure I'm still here. I wanted to ask you then also about, well, there's so many things I want to ask you. I got a list, and I want to talk to you about your awakening, but I also want to talk to you about Orgonite and crystal skulls, and what your relationship is with those.
So really that's a newer adventure that I've been into. Last year, fall before last, I think, was the first introduction to Orgonite that I really had. Well, I knew of Orgonite. I've bought a couple pieces. I was aware of that orgone technology. Basically, it was discovered by Wilhelm Reich, and it transforms. You know, he did it differently, where he actually made a big box of it, and people would go into this box to receive healing and things like that. But since it's developed into something more, into these little pieces, I've got a couple of them right here. Here's actually a little Sasquatch one that I make, and yeah, and this one is a green man. You can see, and it's actually made with. Oh, I'm trying to find the camera there. It's actually made with marijuana leaves inside of it. So, and in all of my Sasquatch ones, I also include a Sasquatch hair that I've been gifted as well. And so, but yeah, so I was just introduced to the Orgonite. I had a friend that bought the supplies for it and said, "Hey, come over, let's have an Orgonite making party." And I said, okay. And so I did. And the first piece I made was just, so I don't have any here, it's in my office. But I really spent a lot of time praying over it, you know, even doing ceremony, asking for guidance for the right pieces, because as far as I knew at the time, this is the only piece of Orgonite I'm going to be making, and I wanted to make it right and make it really sacred. And I did, and it turned out better than I could have ever anticipated. And so I got the bug for wanting to make Orgonite after that, and I've been doing it since. Here's one of my most recent pyramid I have right here. I love the rainbow pieces.
Oh,
So,
whoa.
Yeah, I'm trying this camera, everything's backwards. So, yeah, so this is one of my rainbow pieces. You can see I put crystals in top. So, and there's layers of different metals, copper and aluminum. So anyway, the idea behind this, when you combine all of these ingredients together, and this is an epoxy resin, and so when it hardens, it squeezes the crystals and the metals, and so it's really activating something. But Orgonite, it's unlike crystals, it doesn't need to be charged, you know, in the sunlight or the moonlight or anything like that. It's always active, and it's always attracting negative energies or EMF or whatever it is, negative thought forms, and it absorbs that and it transforms it and emits a positive energy. So I have these all over the house. I found that, you know, I was just making a couple for myself, and I had so many compliments and so many requests from people for me to make one for them, that now it's kind of turned into part of my business. So yeah, but
so
yes,
yeah.
Thank you.
And so Orgonite, for those people, Orgonite, it is something, like just Kelly said, that it was technology that was really discovered, like I think it was like the 30s or 40s. It was a while ago. And it literally people have used it to repel all kinds of negative energy, beings, entities. So that is cool that you're doing that. And then let us know about Mihunka.
Mihunka, I've got her over here. Mihunka is also something very new to my life. So I'll get into the story of that. Last year, last September 2020, at the Sasquatch family reunion, Bill Homan, who is the guardian and caretaker of the world famous Mitchell Hedges crystal skull, which is an ancient artifact. It was found down in a cave in Belize. His stepdaughter actually went down there because this hole was so small that she went down there. She brought up the Mitchell Hedges skull, and it's unlike any other skull. It's got a detachable jaw in any way. It's been analyzed by all kinds of scientists, and they don't know how it could have been made because of its precision. They know that crystal can't be carved that way. And the theory and what actually comes through, what has come through many, I guess you could say, psychic channels, or what a lot of people are aware or knowing of, is that the Mitchell Hedges crystal skull is actually not carved. It was a human skull that turned into a light beam and turned and crystallized. So, you know, and really all of that can't be proven. But when you sit with that skull, you can feel it. It's not just a carved piece of crystal. And so, long story short, last year, the Mitchell Hedges skull attended, and the skull wanted to. Bill said that he felt very strongly that the skull really wanted to be there, to interact with the people there, and to integrate, to merge with the Sasquatch energy and with all the, you know, galactic energies that are there. Because the people that attend this event are from, you know, their souls are from everywhere.
Right.
It's a big melting pot. It really is a family. We call it a Sasquatch family reunion, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. It's a really huge, big cosmic family reunion. And so last year we had a ceremony with the crystal skull, and it was just a really sacred event. So many people participated in it. So many people brought in their energies and different beings and things like that. And the Sasquatch called this ceremony Luma. Oh, give me 1 second. I write it down. So Luma Home. Okay, they called the skull Luma Home, but they called the ceremony Luma Home Terra L. I'm gonna have to look it up. It's on the website, though.
It's on the website, yes.
Yes, it flows beautifully off of my fingers, but not out of my mouth. So, yes, and so it's basically it's a sacred ceremony, and they said that it's also very reminiscent of a human ceremony that some tribal peoples do. Specifically, the Lakota Sioux people, they have sacred ceremonies that they call Hunka, and that's where you adopt another family member or another family or another tribe into yours. And so it's not like a legal adoption, but it's basically expanding your family in a sacred way, ceremoniously. And so the Sasquatch and the galactic tribe basically explained that the ceremony that we had last year was very much the same. I learned this after the fact. And they said that it was also like a marriage. It was like a union that took place at that time. And I didn't know it, but just a few weeks ago, they informed me, well, guess what? It's been 9 months since that union, since that ceremony. This was in September. And they said, so at the end of May, which now we're here, or, you know, in May, that something would be birthed of that ceremony that took place. Something would be, you know, almost like a child that was created from that union. And Mihunka is that child. And so it contains a lot of the different energies, you know, that took place during that ceremony, but also contains basically a cache of information, all of the light from all of the beings everywhere, galactic and interplanetary, everything. So it's got energies and ancestral ties even to the Sasquatch and to all of these different beings. In the message that they gave me, they spoke specifically about Andromedan energies too, even though it contains many. But the Andromedan energy with Mihunka is very strong. And the name Mihunka, in honor of the Hunka ceremony, Mihunka is a word that shows like the highest respect to your ancestors, a highly respected ancestor. And so that's who she is.
That's who she is.
Yes, and she wishes to assist people. So when you're touch her, when you have a personal moment with her, that if you're able to tune in and ask to be shown or to be felt some of your own galactic heritage, she'll show you some things that, maybe karmic lessons that you're here to learn, or ancestral trauma that you're here to heal on behalf of your karmic, your family DNA, or whatever it may be. And so, like I said, this is still something rather new. I've only done one session with her so far. So this is, I've only had her for like maybe 2 weeks at the most. Wow. I don't even know if it's been that long.
And she'll be at the family reunion, the Sasquatch family reunion.
Definitely.
Awesome.
Definitely.
One more reason to come to that.
So yes, and so will Mihunka. Right behind Linda, you can see the blue crystal skull, and not Mihunka. I'm sorry, his name's Melchizedek. The blue crystal skull that you can see on the flyer right there.
So hey, Linda,
he'll be there.
I'm going to make some noise so everybody can see. I can't see if I get away.
And he's a blue obsidian crystal skull, and he was present during that ceremony last year, and so he also, holds all of this information and energy, as well as Mihunka.
Well, I'm gonna appropriate the name Mihunka, and whenever I have a boyfriend, when that fateful day happens, I'm gonna call him Mihunka, because
there you go,
an adorable name.
Or just
So let's get into your awakening. I want to know, because when we were talking in our pre-show, I was just like, oh my God, this is a treasure trove of like so much. Such a journey to be able to share with people, because you were a psychic kid as well, and you had the experience of being dismissed and told that you were a liar, and shutting away those gifts, and then having to be like, oh, those gifts are still there. They're coming back now. So can you give us a little bit of a walkthrough of your journey from being a psychic kid to your reawakening in like 2011, I think you said it was?
The end of 2012 is really when it really started. So as a child, I was raised in South Florida. And, so the weather's always nice. I spent a lot of time outside. I was outside almost always, whether I had an opportunity to escape to like a little woodsy patch, but I was always at least in my yard. My parents were so wonderful. They built this little octagonal bench around a tree, and that's where I spent like all of my time. And or laying in the grass, watching the clouds, that kind of thing. So anyway, very close with nature, and always have been. And when I was younger, I would communicate with animals, bugs, or even blades of grass, or flowers, or frogs. South Florida was big on frogs. So, and I would communicate with them, and I would feel like they were communicating with me, like I would understand what they're saying, but I was too young to really understand that this is called telepathy, or to really know what I was experiencing. And I didn't know that not everybody experienced that. I just thought it was normal for people to know what things are thinking, I guess. I'm not sure. And so I guess to a lot of people, a lot of the stories and things that I would tell of some of my experiences were just too far beyond what they could understand, because it was so multidimensional. I can remember having this incident when I went to the woods one time, and it opened up, and there were snakes inside of this pit. I'm really afraid of snakes. And anyway, it was a scary experience. And I went back and told some people, and they're like, you're crazy. That did not happen. And so I'm sitting here wondering, well, maybe that wasn't physical, but I know what I experienced. I mean, there's no way I didn't not experience that because of how it affected me emotionally, you know,
What was
and
the
what I
experience
saw.
with the snakes? What did you experience that was so bizarre?
It was like this, this pit opened up in the woods and it had snakes in it.
Oh, so you visually saw a
Yeah.
pit open up. I see. Okay.
Yeah, yes. But you know, now because I was so young, it's like I must have just been envisioning something that once was, or some other kind of probability reality, or you know, maybe a past time of something that occurred in this location. Whatever it was very real to me, and so real and so scary that I went and told other people, and they're like,
Oh, we lost audio. Ooh.
Kelly, we lost audio.
We lost audio with you. Just make sure your mic is still turned on. Oh dear. So
I kind of just, I guess if you could say, flip the switch, turned off those abilities. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
yeah, you all came back through it. It all bunched up and ran through it.
If
Go
you're
ahead.
talking to me, I can't hear you.
Oh, we are talking. You can't hear us. Can you hear us now, Kelly? I'll just keep talking until you can hear us.
I don't have sound.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's fun. Yeah, we can hear you, Kelly.
You can hear me.
Now we can.
I don't know. No.
Okay.
Let me.
So we can hear you, but you can't hear us. Okay. Oh dear. Okay.
Okay. No, I can't hear it, any of you.
Okay. I'll pose a question through the chat. So tell us about your awakening. So I'll just do it that way until it comes back on.
Can you hear myself or Linda?
Work. Tell you about the awakening. Okay. So that really kind of started, I'd say in 2012. I'm going to go back. It really started more in 2010 or 2009, really, when I got pregnant with my son, Jeremy. And
hey, Kelly, we're gonna have you reboot. Because we're just it's too broken up.
that's when things
This is because Kelly is watching.
Started to return to me.
Kelly's using Zoom on her Chrome because she can't have it, her computer won't download Zoom for some reason. So Zoom on yes. So we're just gonna have some technical stuff right now. So let's just lift the show up in light and see if we can get this resolved. Whenever it's Chrome is on a browser and as opposed to being downloaded and used as an app, then this happens. So she's gonna go get her tech support honey, her tech honey, and see if he can help her out. And I'm gonna say if there is any way to load Zoom,
so
that will be best.
I'm 29 years old, and
so we're
I just you know have carrying a child instead of me, just opening up.
So we'll give this another minute here, and hopefully she's able to see our messages where we want her to reboot. I think there's just such a major lag right now that it's just relaying everything that she's saying from like a minute ago. So yeah. All right. Because it's just problematic. So in the meantime, let's just have a little chat amongst ourselves and see.
Would you like me to continue? You'll have to. I could try to go get Christian and see if.
Okay. Again, like her communications.
Okay, I will.
Her communication's coming through like in this delayed time from when we said everything, but we are just going to make the most of it. I can tell you all that I am going to be going to the Sasquatch family reunion, and that happens at the end of this month. Oh, that's a good suggestion, Jillian. If we mute here, if that happens again, just so that choppy lag doesn't happen again. But I'm going to go to this family reunion, Sasquatch family reunion. I'm going to have a little third eye salon set up there, an actual physical salon. So I'm going to have like chairs. Jillian's like, oh,
I'm so jealous. I'm so #not jealous.
I know I wish to God you all could be there. It's but
can you
what?
Live stream to me? Can you at least live stream and send me some?
If Wi-Fi is an option there, we'll find out if I can do that. If I can do a Wi-Fi, if I can do a live stream, I'm gonna get a new phone. That's my goal because I have like this iPhone 5. So I plan to get a new phone so that way I can actually do those things and I can at least share some footage. But
that'd be so much fun.
Yeah, my prayer is that like in a year's time the travel ban is lifted.
Yes.
And things are just less insane. And that way, when this happens again next year, I would just love for you and Linda and any of our Third Eye Salon people. Oh my gosh, what if we had the whole Third Eye Salon area and there was like, 5 or 10 of us camped out in the same area and we had a literal like meeting ground in the center where we had
like a literal salon.
A literal salon.
A literal salon. Like just have it all set up as a salon. Like holy smokes.
Yeah, chairs, lounge chairs, beverages, like just the whole kit and caboodle.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
that'd be so much fun.
Absolutely.
Laura said #not jealous cat.
Yeah, it's just
so there is a question when she comes back.
Okay, great.
General, for all of let's see. The general question I had for all was if the Sasquatch were always multidimensional or whether they started out like us and then evolved. That's a great question.
That's a great question. I can answer a wee bit from what she told me, but she's going to have a way better answer than me. So, because we were talking, I was watching her show or her a talk that she gave where she was talking about the Sasquatch and how they were multidimensional and that there are those who are more evolved, like the ones it's like there's different levels, just like humanity. So there are ones who are more evolved that do more multidimensional, and there's other ones that stay more physical and stay more connected here. But also, this was a big thing, was that there's this author named Sunbow, as opposed to Rainbow, Sunbow, and he channels Sasquatch books. And one of the things that he channeled through, and we're going to talk about him hopefully today. If not today, we'll have to do a part 2 show to get that tech stuff resolved. But apparently, when Sasquatch is seated on various planets, there's like a core genetic makeup that's used, but then also they'll do some connection with with the local planet. I mean, the planet they're seeding in, and apparently lemurs. And this was in the time of Lemuria. So I thought that was interesting. Obviously, they didn't speak English, but like I just thought there was an interesting connection between lemurs and Lemuria, and like lemurs being part of the genetic material that was used to make Sasquatch adaptable to this particular planet. So I just feel like the more I learn about Sasquatch, the more I'm like, oh my God, there's so much more to know. And this is just endless realms. What was your take on Sasquatch, Linda, growing up? Did you ever care about Sasquatch? Did you just relegate that to fantasy, or what was your thought and experience?
For me, I was curious about it. I've always, had this distant curiosity. The kitty fascination of it, that there's something out there, kind of like Loch Ness, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That unobtainable thing. So to have friends of mine say that they've got pictures and stories of contact kind of blows my mind.
Is that Jade?
Yeah.
Jade Raider.
Yeah, she said she was going to put it in our Facebook group. I didn't have a chance to look and see. I'm looking right now. She was actually going to tell the story and put the picture in our group. So I'm very excited for that. So if anyone wants to see it, it's not there yet that I can see, but she promised she would put it in.
Can you summarize? Did she tell you? What did
she
she tell
tell
you?
Me.
Oh, she didn't tell
she didn't
you.
tell
Okay.
me.
What a tease.
So I will keep bugging her till she does it.
Yeah.
I'm so curious.
Yeah.
And yeah, she goes up to Mount Shasta a lot. And
oh.
So she also
Wow.
has, it's like, oh yeah, I see UFOs. It's not a big deal. Sometimes people come with me and sometimes they don't, so she's just very connected in.
She buried the lead. She never told me any of this stuff. We had her on the show. I mean, we had her on the show because she had gone through like the horrible experience of losing her home with the wildfire, but I didn't know she had regular.
Well, I think it's one of those things we were kind of talking in chat about. When you grow up with those, it's kind of like, doesn't everybody have this? And you don't really talk about it because it's, doesn't everybody experience this? And then you do start talking about it and everybody looks at you like you've got a horn growing out of your forehead.
Right.
So, now she's come to that where, she's surrounded by other people that go, oh yeah, that, right? So
right.
She doesn't bring it up so much. She's more into being in the energy now and moving that
5D.
Yeah, that 5D energy into our lives now. So
nice.
But yeah, it's like, oh yeah, I see that. It's what? I was go to Mount Shasta with you and see.
Right? Exactly. There's so much living I've yet to do.
Yeah.
And even though I crave to travel the world, which I will, but like there's also lots of traveling to do the United States. There's lots of sacred sites to see the United States. So I have to remember that while I'm being restricted. Yeah. I grew up, there's a TV show. You might remember it, Linda, although we probably didn't watch the same TV shows when we were kids, but did you ever remember the Saturday morning show, Bigfoot and Wild Boy?
That I do not remember. I thought you were going to say In Search of.
Oh.
Leonard Nimoy.
No, it was a kids show on Saturday mornings. It was Bigfoot and Wild Boy, and it was if you can totally Google it and you'll see full episodes. And the Bigfoot looks really good though. Like he's a really good like representation of Bigfoot. And I didn't know if I had a crush on Wild Boy, if I wanted to be Wild Boy, like it was like, but like the hanging out in nature and just wearing like your animal skins and hanging out with Bigfoot, rescuing people. I was like, I'm in. Like that's what I want to do. So it's just kind of fun that it's come full circle and it's back in my life again in a way where I get to really have a much more profound experience. And I'm just curious if I feel like for sure I've had some incarnations where Bigfoot was, like in our indigenous lifestyles when we were, our indigenous incarnations where we're not disconnected from nature. I imagine that many of us, that was part of the norm as it is with, Native American traditions. Bigfoot's like, yeah, like ETs are like, yeah, it's not, there's no horn sticking out of your head. They know that it's real. No one's gonna look at you funny if you talk about that. Any sign of Miss Kelly coming back?
No, I was going to say, why don't you message her? I have
Okay.
It's weird that she's still in our chat, but maybe but she's not as a participant. So we're
Okay,
good.
I will Facebook her. She says she's still,
Yeah.
oh, the passcode isn't working. I'm using frequency theory. Sorry for all caps.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay,
and
so
give
we'll
her
go ahead.
The direct link.
Yeah, I didn't have her phone number, so we'll go ahead and give her that direct link again. This should be, okay, here's the direct link.
So I want to ask the audience, how many either have had their own sightings, whether it be physical sightings or mental sightings of Bigfoot, or know somebody who has? Because I think that's really, I'm very curious about that. Like, I think this is the past year is the first time I've actually known people who said that they physically saw.
I've never.
Or in their mind saw.
Right, psychically. Yeah, there's people who have psychic connections and there's people who have had physical connections.
Yeah.
So yeah, if any of our audience, our people on our chat have stories or insights to share, that is awesome. And we'll give this another few minutes and see. And if we need to do a part 2 next week, we can certainly do a part 2 next week.
Do you have anything to add while Kat's doing that you want to share?
For me?
Yeah.
Well, I saw Kat and I watched the same presentation of Kelly the other day, and there was one point that, like, I kind of had to take a double take of what she said, because she had mentioned that she came across the center that she now works in. And when they drove up, she said when they went around the corner, there were mountains behind, and she described 3 Bigfoot standing there and waving at her. And that just blew my mind open. And I'm like, I wanted to ask her so bad if it was like a physical sighting or if it was a clairvoyant sighting, which is just as relevant. But I mean, can you imagine being led there specifically for the Sasquatch or Bigfoot ordeal and having like 3 beings waving at you? That would be so life-changing in my opinion, to see something like that. Like, that's just, yeah, out of the whole presentation that she did, which I recommend anyone watching out. Maybe we could put a link or something within the group, but
good idea.
It was a good presentation. And she's back.
Oh, she's back.
Yay.
We hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you, and you're not lagging.
Hallelujah.
Let's hope that stays. If we have another issue, Kelly, we'll just do a part 2. So
okay. And I could also maybe join from my phone. I suppose.
Try joining from your phone. That's what Jillian does, and it works for her like a dream.
Okay. It works amazing.
Yeah, you can see how clear her picture is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've tried it before and it's not been very good, so that's why I try to avoid it. But if it happens again, I'll do it that way. Yeah.
Okay.
It could be the type of phone as well.
I have a real tiny kind of phone, so it's you know, yeah.
Okay. Well, there. We see you now.
Yeah, we'll just.
Okay, good.
All right. So we were trying to talk about your awakening. I'm just really asking our celestial tech team to step in, because this is really good. This is like, I'm so passionate about this conversation. So can you kind of give us a little bit of a tour of your waking up then, from being a child who was dismissed, coming back into your gifts? And I believe this was with the birth of your son that this happened.
Yes. It was actually, like I was saying, kind of during pregnancy when things were starting to awaken more for me. I was starting to want to learn more about my own heritage, and I was kind of returning more to spirit, just acknowledging spirit and God and everything like that more, where I had really turned it off for a while and was just like, I don't want anything to do with, a lot of these things. I was also raised in a private school, in a church school, that they weren't, the nicest people. And so that was also part of the reason that I was just like, nah, let's just, move forward with life from here. And then when I was pregnant, it just kind of hit me like, well, wait a second, I guess, the sacred act of growing a child inside of you just really was like, gave me a lot more to think about. And so during that time, while I was pregnant, a lot of spirit conversations were returning to me. I didn't mention that when I was younger, I was really sensitive to spirits, to ghosts, or what when I was young, that's what they're called, is ghosts, and I didn't care for that too much because I didn't understand it. Even though I didn't have a bad interaction, it was just kind of like, whoa, yeah, I see dead people, like the typical, and so it was kind of, I didn't understand it, and it kind of scared me. And then that really started to return after attending a few funerals for family members or for close friends, and they would communicate with me. And I was still really uncomfortable with it, but it was so many physical things happening when they were doing it that I couldn't deny it. I was like, well, this isn't in my head. It's like my whole body is responding, especially during funerals when they tried to communicate with me. My aunt was one of them. A young girl was one of them. There was a series of several funerals I went to, and within a couple year span. And each and every time I would feel that communication, and I would just start coughing uncontrollably, this huge tickle in my throat that I couldn't get rid of. And I had to leave the room because I couldn't stop coughing. And I was like, okay, so something wants to speak through me. I acknowledge it. I accept it. And so instead of trying to deny these gifts, I finally said, okay, I surrender. I see you want to communicate with me. This is a part of who I am. So why am I denying this anymore? And so I stopped. And so I started embracing it and started, just kind of like, well, I don't care how crazy I sound. I have to do what I have to do, what I feel is right. And the communication I know that I'm receiving, I can't deny that anymore, because when I do deny it, my body acts up, or many other things. So, yeah, so that was a big part of it too, was just allowing myself to reopen to a lot of that. And then in 2012, I really immersed myself really deeply in like Native American culture, learning a lot about the ways of life of the Native Americans, their beliefs and their traditions and ceremonies, and the way that they live off the land, and the way that they use everything, the sacred way that they would do things, the sacred way to kill or consume an animal, rather than it being what it is today, and things like that. And because I have some Cherokee blood, and my son has like 4 different Native tribes in him, and so I wanted to learn a lot about that for him, as well as myself and his family and everything. So that's really where it all started, was while I was, I say, awakening, or maybe it all happened so quickly. Maybe it's called a quickening. I'm not really sure. But it was at the end of 2012 that everything just really, boom, I started having some dreams that were very real, just very, very real dreams, that I couldn't even tell if they were dreams or not. I was like, no, this impacted me so emotionally, and I can remember every detail and everything so much, that I knew that this was actually really happening, and it's communication happening through my dreams. And so the Sasquatch, that's when they really came into my life. I was introduced to the idea, found a website, or I actually connected with this man on Facebook named Gray Wolf. And I saw that he had a lot of different Native American posts and things like that. And so anyway, we became friends on Facebook somehow. And I didn't even know who this man is. And he sends me a message that just says simply, "I walk with Sasquatch." That's all it said. I was like, I have no idea who this guy is. And this message says, "I walk with Sasquatch." And I was like, it just like, boom. I was like, tell me more. I was like, don't we all walk with them? You know, I was like, I want to know whatever you have to say. And so he introduced me to the idea that, you know, they're interdimensional or multidimensional beings, you know, that they're able to weave in and out of this reality and change their frequency so that they could be, you know, either or physical or cloak themselves. And then their spiritual nature and how much their way of life tied in with the Native American way of life. And I just knew immediately that this was a part of who I was and a part of my future. I didn't really understand it, but I knew when I learned that, oh my God, this is the first moment of the rest of my life. And I don't even know what that means. Wow. Yes. And yes. And I had no idea that I'd be where I am now and have the communication that I do now. But so after learning that shortly, I was just really wanting to communicate with them more. I was learning more about who the Sasquatch people were, wanting to strengthen my communication with them. So I was spending more time in the woods, gifting them, telepathing, which is something I had already had developed within me. You know, a lot of people, I help them, or, you know, maybe give them tips on how they might be able to connect or telepath and things like that. But for me, you know, fortunately, I was just already gifted with this connection with spirit, so that I was able to tune right in and tap into them. And, you know, I was asking for it too. I kept asking them, I want to know you. I want to help you. I want to, you know, expand our connection and our relationship. And that came very, very quickly. And I lived in Arkansas at the time, in Mountain Home, Arkansas. And there's so many beautiful places in the woods. There's really rich Native American culture and heritage there. But I was always going out in the woods, hiking the trails, even by myself, and having a lot of different experiences with them. And so it really grew. And in the beginning of 2013, that's when I connected with my Sasquatch guide, George. And he's like my brother. He said he's my brother. He said that he was there since the time that I was born.
And he's actually, George is a Sasquatch. I just want to make sure people know that George is an actual Sasquatch. Yes. How he got to be called George, that's George's mystery.
I actually asked him that, and he goes, "Well, my mom liked the name." And I was like, okay, that works for me. But later I learned that, you know, George is derived from Geo, which means of the earth. And so it's actually quite appropriate. Yeah. And so, but he's very fun and jovial. And I mean, we can get into this more later, but I just want to make a slight correction in that George is a Sasquatch, but he's actually more of the race of Sasquatch that would be called, or what a lot of people refer to as the ancient ones, because just like humans, they have gone through a lot of genetic upgrades, and, you know, there's a lot of hybridization that has happened with their races, just like with ours. And so George is more of an ancient one, meaning that he's got more DNA, more human kind of DNA. He looks more human than he looks primate, you know. So his face, his build, he's very he's like a tall, hairy human, whereas many other Sasquatch, you know, they look more like apes, or some even look more like dogs or baboons or something like that. So there's many different races, and but George said that he's my brother and we're very closely connected, and he's very fun and jovial. He likes to play pranks. He likes to dance and sing. It's a good fit. Like, our personalities are very much alike. And so I feel him with me always. Right now, he's with me always.
Nice.
He that doesn't mean that he can't be with other people too, because so many other people are like, oh my gosh, I got a visit from George, or I saw him, you know. And he's multidimensional too, so he can be, you know, they can bilocate or multi-locate, be in multiple locations at once, because it's all a consciousness thing. It's not physical.
Well, unless Linda's got a question from our people.
I do. I have a question from our people. Kelly, have you had them ask you to travel through one of their portals with them, or have you that?
I have, actually. At that time that I met George, he asked me to follow him. So I was in this place in the woods. It wasn't deep woods. It was actually a wooded part of my neighborhood that was undeveloped. And so I was back there. And when I met George, I was actually in the middle of 4 different trees that made a circle. And so I was in the middle of the circle of these 4 trees. And I was singing the song Hallelujah by Leonard Cohen. And I was singing it. I was just like really inspired to, I don't even know why I did, but obviously it was a good thing I did, because when I opened my eyes, George was there. I could feel him approaching me as I was singing. I could, in my mind's eye, I could see him coming out of this portal and approaching me. And he kept getting closer and closer and closer as I'm singing with my eyes closed. And then he got right here. I could feel his presence. Just like if somebody stuck their face in your face like this, even with your eyes closed, you're going to know they're there. And so that's what I felt. So I just like real, you know, just real gently opened my eyes. Like, is this real? And it was real.
Did you physically see
there
him?
In my face.
You physically saw him?
I did, but he wasn't so physical. I was just so tuned in to where I was. Like, my third eye was so open that I could see him fully physically. I could see every wrinkle. I could see every hair. I could see how I could see little branches in his hair. Every little detail, the color. He walks with this crooked stick. So I could see all of these details, even though it may as well have been physical. Although I'm sure if somebody else had walked up and witnessed this, they probably wouldn't have seen them. But to me, it was fully physical. And so anyway, he asked me after I finished singing. He introduced himself. I asked him about his name, and it was such a great connection. Like, I didn't have one bit of nervousness. I didn't feel like, oh my God, there's a Sasquatch talking to me, you know, that kind of thing. It's like, yes, this is like what I've been waiting for. And it was so natural. It just felt so good. And we just jumped right into this conversation with our regular personalities and not taking some kind of, you know, cautionary approach. Because I started joking with him right away. And when he mentioned his name, George, I was like, oh, where's John and Paul and Ringo? and I love the Beatles. And he didn't have any idea what I was talking about. And so that was kind of, and so I explained to him, and oh, okay, yeah, I get it, you know. And actually, he does know the Beatles because he knows the Beatles through me, because I love them so much. But for me to say, where's John and George and Ringo, or Paul and Ringo, he didn't get that reference at first. So,
well, did you go through the portal with him, or like, did that happen?
I did not.
Okay.
Okay, I was actually, my son was a baby at the time, and he was sleeping at home when I went on this quick walk in the woods. So I knew like I'm watching my time and I'm like, I have to be back. But when he introduced himself to me, he asked me to follow him into this portal area, and I could see it, and I could see all of these, I don't know if it was fairies. I mean, it looked like, I don't know, they were little bugs that I can't identify. I don't know if they were fairies or they were that was some kind of swarm of insects or something going like this in this portal area. And he wanted me to follow him in there. And I felt a twinge of nervousness, but it was actually really, I think, more of my motherly instincts that I said, I can't, I have a baby sleeping at home. I have to go back like now. This was just a quick trip in the woods for a few minutes, you know? And I said, but would you like to follow me? You know, like, would you like to come home with me? And he's like, sure. And so I didn't go into the portal at that time. I could feel the energy of it. And he did follow me home. And as soon as I opened my front door, he was gone. And yes, but I mean, he continues all the, all the time, but it was probably the energy of my home. There were, people, whatever, it just wasn't the right time. I couldn't introduce him to the people that were in the home,
Okay.
And, but a couple of other times they have shown me where portals are. I actually, more than a couple times, they have pointed out locations of portals, but they have always told me, you better kind of don't go there. I've felt very cautionary of, don't go there. We're letting you know that this portal is here so that you could basically avoid it.
Okay.
I don't know why exactly. I mean, I don't really feel like some danger would necessarily happen, but it felt very much like it wasn't for me.
Okay.
And one time at one location, they pointed out a portal to me and they told me specifically, do not go there. This is where some unwanted beings are going to be coming through. You don't want to be here.
Okay.
And I could really feel it. And I didn't even ever return to that space because I felt uncomfortable.
I want to like kind of, yeah, this is because again, like, I feel like we can ask you one question and a book falls out, you know what I mean? Because there's so much, it's so rich. So what I would like to ask, Jillian, do you have a question you want to ask? Because I know what I want to ask, but I want to make sure you're get in there.
Yeah, I do. So I watched the presentation that you did. It must have been the most recent presentation. I'm not sure. But there was one part where you had described that you were driving up to the center, which I believe now is the center that you do your presentations through. And when you were driving, I think maybe up or behind it, you had mentioned that you saw 3 Sasquatch standing there and they were waving at you. And when I heard that, I just, like, everything in my being lit up. Like, that was so exciting. And I'm just wondering if it was like a physical sighting or if it was clairvoyant, like through your third eye that you were seeing it, which either way it's relevant, but it just blew my mind when you said that. It did.
To me, that incident really felt physical. I mean, there was only 2 of us that witnessed it, and both of us are very psychic. And so it's really hard to say. It's hard to determine sometimes, like, what is physical and what's not, because no matter what, it's a part of my reality. But yeah, that's the Tooele Peak Learning Center. And unfortunately, last year they closed down. So we're not having them there anymore, but it is a beautiful sacred space. And yeah, that was an awesome story in itself. We're trying to find where to move here in Washington from Florida, and was having trouble even like finding a space. We had a limited amount of time to find something. And so we asked the Sasquatch for assistance, tell us where to go, where can we find you, or where can we look, kind of thing. And by dowsing on a map, they showed this location. where Chihuahua Peak is, except we didn't know Chihuahua Peak was there. All we knew was go to this area on the map, this place in Chihuahua up this highway.
Right.
And so while driving up there, we see the sign that says Chihuahua Peak Learning Center. And I'm like, oh, let's go see what that is. That sounds cool. And we drove in there. There wasn't anybody there. There's these huge buildings, and I'm peeking in the windows. Well, I'll say, well, no, first I peeked in the windows, and like, what is this place? And I could see myself walking inside of the building, holding a clipboard, like just busy. And I was like, oh my God, I said, I think I'm going to work here one day. And I didn't even know what I didn't even know what this place was, but I was like, I think I'm going to work here someday. And this is before I even live here. And then we walk around that side of the building, and 3 Sasquatch are up in the woods, up on the hill, but I could see them clearly, and they're waving, and I was just like, okay, I couldn't receive any more validation right now. Chihuahua is the place. This is where I'm meant to move to. Obviously, this is where I'm supposed to be. And at the time we weren't even planning on having any kind of events or anything like that. So all of that just came together a couple years later, and it was the perfect location. But it always stuck in my head as like, what better place to have it than where the Sasquatch are? So,
right.
Yeah.
Right. And even you mentioning the other person seeing it, even if it is through your clairs, because I'm wide open as well with my clairvoyance. I completely understand. Like, I can see something as clear as day. The people around me probably can't.
Right.
But the fact that there was one other person that witnessed it too, like, that is really compelling to me.
Yes.
Yeah, that is so cool. Oh, I love that.
I wanted to talk about also in terms of, we talked about there's different levels, and there's going to be those who are going to be reaching out to you psychically, and those who are not interested in humans at all. They don't want anything to do with humans. There's a whole range of, Sasquatch. And I know that there's a guy named Sunbow that channels communications with Sasquatch that you're connected to. And I want to know a little bit about Sunbow. I don't want to get too sidetracked on Sunbow because we only have, so much time, but I kind of wanted to know how you validate his information, because what I really want to get into is about the Sasquatch being seated on the planet and how that came to be. So how do you meet Sunbow? I have 3 questions. How did you meet Sunbow? Why do you trust his channeling? And what is the origin point of Sasquatch on the planet? It's a lot, but.
Okay, so I connected with Sunbow on Facebook. It was really divinely guided. I was already doing work with the Sasquatch, receiving personal messages from them, was already, I believe, were we planning the event? No, we weren't planning the event yet. But anyway, very involved with it, with my partner at the time. And we were doing a lot of promotions. My partner at the time was traveling and speaking about Sasquatch. So I was very involved in kind of marketing and promoting the work that he did. And so I was on Facebook one day. For some reason, I went into this group that I've never looked at before in my life. It was a group that I was in, but never browsed it. And I was in there browsing, and I saw pictures of Sasquatch, and I was like, whoa, what's this? And then I read the message, and it's a channeled message from Sasquatch. And it is the most beautiful information, the most articulated information that aligns with everything that I know and I feel, and all of this, and everything that we're already supporting and promoting and everything like that. And I was just like, oh my goodness, who is this person, and how come I don't already know them? Like, how could somebody be so perfectly aligned with everything and we haven't connected yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so I sent him a friend request, and I asked him, have you heard about, my partner's works or books or, anything that's out here? And he's like, no, I've never heard of it, but it's really great to connect with somebody else that understands. And so this message that he wrote that I read, it was actually the 7th chapter, or it was the 7th message that he had received from Sasquatch. And so in the Sasquatch Message to Humanity, Book 1, Chapter 7 is the first passage that I read. And then he said, hey, I just started getting these messages. Here's the first 6, which was even better, just aligned perfectly. And then once we connected, more and more kept coming very quickly until he wrote 50 chapters within just a very short amount of time. And the information in this book is, I really recommend it. Even if you don't have an interest in Sasquatch or a personal connection with them, I can't tell you how much relevant information is in here for you, for everybody on the earth. It's such relevant information. And so I had, a background in technical writing and editing and things like that, marketing. And so suggested, well, hey, let's publish this book. Like, it has to get out there. And so ended up publishing the book, which also happened around the same time. I think it was published just a month before the first gathering that we had. And then Sunbow continued to write. So there's also book 2, the Sasquatch Message to Humanity, book 2. And it has a lot of also really great information. It goes a little bit deeper into multidimensional nature, about the different dimensions, into a lot of, it's more, I don't want to say sciencey, but definitely there's a lot of good information in there, and you could read it 100 times and still pick up something new each time. So, but it's really, the inner workings of this one's called Interdimensional Teachings from Our Elders. And then, so after that, that's how we connected with Sunbow. What was the second question?
So that's okay. It's kind of, you kind of answered both of my first 2 questions, because you felt his information was already paralleling and expanding what you knew, felt, and had gotten from your partner at that time. So it was already in accord. So it felt like a natural extension as opposed to something new. I mean, new in some ways, but a natural expansion, a continuation.
Yeah.
And then I'm curious about the whole business about, in our pre-show talk, he talked about, like, I'm going to find the exact words, because it was really about them being the first mammals, the first mammal people. And when you said that, I was like, oh, because when I was tuning into them before, and I was just vibing with them and psychically tuning into them on my own, that's what I got, was like, they were the first incarnation of spirit into matter in terms of beings like this, and then you said mammal people. I'm like, mammal people, right? They feel primordial, that they're the first inception of spirit and matter coming into this form of an upright being that is, not an animal, but like a higher integration of spirit and physical. So tell us about that and what you learned from how that came to be on this planet specifically.
Well, the Sasquatch, I often refer to them as the elders, or Sasquatch elders, but refer to them as the elders precisely for that reason, because they are the first mammal people. And so they were created by the star elders about 200 million years ago is the time frame that they say. So it was long before humans. We've only been here about 50 million years. And so they've been here a good 150 million years longer than we have. So yeah, they can really say been there, done that, you know. But they were created in Argatha, or Agartha, which is like the underworld, when the Earth was recovering from a series of different cataclysms that had happened here. And lots of different climate changes. You know, the Earth has been through a really long evolution of things. But they were created in Agartha, and they were seated in Lemuria, which is also known as Mu. And they were created as carekeepers for the Mother Earth, and to really assist in our spiritual evolution of Earth's collective consciousness. So not just, you know, their people, all the different beings, the humans that were to be, you know, at the time, they didn't know that there would be humans, but they knew that they would be tasked as, you know, the spiritual elders to assist the new races, much like we are today. That's our job too. We have to remember that. So because there was like 5 mass extinctions on Earth that happened before they were created and seeded here. And so throughout, you know, several million years, which really almost eliminated all of the species before us. So when Earth was created, the most intelligent life form here on Earth was the fish people. And then, you know, or like the amphibian people, and then they evolved, and we're talking millions of years here in between, of course. And then the ant people, or the insect people. I say ant or insect, you know, they're referred in many different ways, and they don't all look one way either. It's much like us. They keep evolving, you know. So fish people, they don't all look like mermaids, or they don't all have fish heads. You know, there's all kinds of different features. Same with the ant people. That includes all kinds of different insects. You've heard of the mantis beings. They don't look like ants, but you know, they're all a part of that. And then the lizard people, or the reptilians. You know, so there was, and they're not, you know, they have a little bad connotation, you know, or a lot of people think that the reptilians are bad, and that's just not the fact. You know, there's rogue beings everywhere.
Right, but there's also indigenous reptilians, and then there's invasive reptilians. That's my sense of it.
That's right.
Is that there's native reptilian beings, and that there are invasive reptilian beings saying, oh, we've always been here, and identifying as this lineage, but they're actually alien to this planet.
Right.
Would you resonate?
Yes.
Is that okay? That's my understanding.
Yes.
I'm gonna quick tangent. I want to know, what do you know about the Naga? Do you know anything about the Nagas? The snake people?
The stick people.
Snake.
Oh, snake people. No, I don't. Okay. I don't know any.
We're gonna have Sembo channel that book next. That's something I feel very connected to. I feel very connected to the snake people, which is this weird thing because it has this big Christian like snake people. Snake is the devil, and it's like, and when I connect to them, they're like, we are misunderstood. But anyway, I'm getting way off the topic.
Well, I've got something to share with you that's way off topic too, but remind me, because it is about
go there while we're deviating.
For sure.
Wait, before we go there, I have 2 questions that are Sasquatch related. One is, do you know if they are a patriarchal society or matriarchal, or is that vary by the different tribes?
It's very different for them. There's not really anything really consistent with that. Just like how humans have all these different cultures, and some of them are matriarchal, some of them are, you know, it's the same with them. It just depends on their situation, where they live, kind of their traditions and the way that they're brought up. Some of them are loners, and many of them live in tribes. But one thing I can say, you know, pretty consistently is that they do have to teach their young, you know, just like we do, and they keep their young in their youth very protected. They're very protective of their young because they haven't yet quite developed the abilities and everything that they need to do to stay safe from humans and from, you know, the different things that could happen to them on the earth. And it takes time to learn all of that. And they keep them just very protected. And you would hardly ever hear of sightings of young Sasquatch and children and things. By the time they're, you know, teenagers, their life cycles aren't quite like ours. So I say that because it's more of a consciousness than really an age. But they, the teenagers are often explore their environments more, and some people have troubles with them even just because they like to pull pranks. They like to do things to get reactions. They're, you know, shake trailers or campers or something, or make messes or steal your things, not necessarily to steal, but to kind of like, they don't know what's happening, you know, that kind of thing. Because a lot of times it's returned to you, but not how the way you would expect. But, you know, so that happens too. But as far as matriarchal, patriarchal, it depends. There's a lot, the women are, if there's children, they're often, you know, protecting, they're with the children more. But there's so many different levels of consciousness of the Sasquatch too, that many of them aren't physical. They're not living in a tribal communal situation. So that just doesn't apply. Many of them are more spirit guides, or almost what you could think of as like ascended masters or something like that. And so they're working on a whole other level that doesn't have anything to really do with a family unit.
Thank
cool.
you.
And what's your
Okay,
second
I don't
question?
want you to forget what you were about to say.
What was your second question?
Well, the second one might take us down another road, but
That's okay.
Wanting to know if you worked with other hierarchical beings on the other side. So I'm not sure exactly what that means.
Hierarchical beings.
Angels or what?
Ascended masters, maybe.
Ascended masters.
Well, yeah, I mean, I do on occasion. I can't say that there's like one, like really particular one. They kind of come and go as needed, or a lot of times guidance will come through if I'm working with somebody, a being, or, you know, some kind of energy or something will come through for me to relate to that person. You know, there's a lot of different, as far as like galactically, I have a lot of strong connections to, well, many different star systems, but Sirius is one of the top ones. I've got a lot of Sirian energy, Andromedan too. It's really kind of all over the place, so it's hard to say. But yeah, I've worked with other beings, but primarily if it's regarding, you know, how we talked about fish people, ant people, bird people, all of that, I have felt connections with them. I've communicated. But mostly it is Sasquatch for me, and then of course the ETs too. I've had that's a whole other subject. The star elder communication and experiences that I've had.
So let's cross
but there's
the
a
two.
connection to them all. Yes.
What's the Sasquatch and ET connection? You've talked about how they seeded the planet, and then you also, you know, when we were talking, you're saying that they took the genetics of the lemur with their genetic material, and that was what the species that they connected it with. And so what is this relationship with, you'll see, not as common, but you'll see Sasquatch coming out of a UFO, or you'll see Sasquatch and ETs together. What is that relationship about? Because there's so many star nations. Are they all working with Sasquatch? Is there only one? Like what's their connection?
Yeah, they work with many different beings, all do. Humans are really the only exception, and that's only because we don't remember. We don't remember, and that's the point. That's why the Sasquatch are here. We're all connected to the star elders. We all fly around in UFOs, and we all go into portals. We're just not aware of it. but we do this in our subconscious. But the Sasquatch, yeah, they many of them have different genetic traits, and so they're more strongly associated with other races or with other beings. Pleiadian is one of the primary ones. I know that there's a lot of Pleiadian DNA that was taken to create the Sasquatch. And so, there's a lot of that, but they have different jobs and different tasks or what they've learned, or, they have different skills or things even like that. So some of them actually fly in ships. Some of them actually fly the ships. Some of them go to like underground or inner earth bunkers. And then, there's even starships that can go under the ocean. There's so much happening under the ocean that,
yeah, for real.
I mean, that would just blow people's minds to understand. And I certainly don't understand it, but I know it's a whole other world that we can't really explore too well. So, the Sasquatch connections with all of that is everywhere. But basically, the Star Elders created us all. So we're all equally connected with all these different races of beings. And humans, even though we don't remember it, what's so unique about humans and why so many races, just about all of them, are so invested in what we're doing here right now on Earth as humans is because we're connected to all of them. We have the DNA of all of these beings, all of these star systems, all of them, they're all our ancestors. Mm-hmm. And so we're their little brothers, their little sisters, that they're kind of like, come on, we're not, you're the beings now that are in charge of Earth. Do it, do your job. And if you don't, anyway, we know what happened 5 times before.
So with the Earth and the Earth wind, I've heard that before as well. In terms of the Earth having gone through different, so let's talk about that. Part of it is cyclical. The sun goes through a micronova every 12,500 years or so, from what I understand. I'm not a scientist. I'm just taking this from people who are scientists. So there's a micronova that happens. And so what is the Sasquatch's relationship to preservation of the humans who go through that experience? And I know that they're, from my understanding, like part of it is like humans, it's up to you. You're the ones that got to tune in and know how to take care of yourself. And yet at the same time, there's a lot of love and support, both in the Star Nations and with our ET or with our Sasquatch tribe and family. What is your understanding of how they're here to support us during that time?
Well, they're here. Yeah, well, I mean, they're here to protect us and to guide us and to help us grow spiritually and develop our consciousness. That's why, like, so many of their teachings are about a multidimensional nature. And that's because we are so limited in our thoughts and our beliefs. It's hard for humans to see beyond these bodies and our personal experiences and what's in our 3D reality. And so they want us to open up and expand to see this multidimensional nature and all of the probability realities that exist, and how we can co-create, how we create our future, how we create our reality. Mm-hmm. And so that's how we need to really move forward. And it's not like they're really pushing it on us to hurry up and do this. It's not like that. It's a really gentle guidance, more like, how a grandparent would just gently show guidance to a grandchild on the way to do it without doing it for them, because they can't do anything for us. It's our responsibility. It's our karmic lessons. We're here to learn some really big lessons right now. And so all they can do is plant seeds and point things out and help guide us where we're willing to hear it and to accept it and apply it. But they can't do it for us. And but it's our planet, as big part of this connection is the planet of Earth, even though we're from the stars and we're, created by the star elders and everything. There's a very good reason that we are here on this planet right now during this time. And the Sasquatch are here to help with that because they are so grounded in this planet too.
Right. Well, do you think that, do they have an agenda? Because, and this may not be your information, so I don't want to impose this information on you. In terms of like the micronova and the sun spitting out plasma because it's time for it to cleanse itself, and it spits out, a portion of itself, which is why it's a micronova, not a nova. It's a micronova. It just ejects. It's part of its cleansing cycle. Do you have an understanding of how the Bigfoot experiences, how the Sasquatch experiences, and how they are, are they, what they're doing to help during that time of transition? And if you don't have information on that, that's totally cool too.
Yes. Well, maybe not so directly how they're assisting, but it's an inevitable change. It is a cycle, and it's bound to happen. There's really no stopping a cycle. There's no, stopping the sun from shining. And so it's something that's going to happen, and that's why they're coming out more to, I'd say, warn us or to prepare us. It's not so much a warning, but to prepare us that, you have to change your consciousness in order to get through this. It doesn't have much to do with it.
Sorry.
Yes.
I just resonate with that so much.
To change our consciousness, to get through it, to see it from a different perspective. It's not this big tragic thing that's going to happen. It's wonderful. The earth is healing and it's moving through this cycle, and it's basically, I mean, I'm not to point out, individual humans, everybody here is wonderful people, but in general, humans have really done a lot to not help the earth whatsoever. And so it's
very mild way of saying
our
yes.
Right. So it's our responsibility to really change that. And so those of us that are waking up and making those changes, we don't have to be perfect. It's one little thing at a time. It's in our consciousness. It's making one little decision, talking to people, picking up trash that's not yours and throwing it away. Just the tiniest little things. That's all that it takes. But it changes your consciousness, and it helps you to develop more love and compassion, not only for the earth, but I mean, a hugest part of their lesson is learning to be peaceful and loving with other species, and to practice kindness and compassion and non-judgmentalism. So they're not, trying to preach to us. This is all to benefit us. If we could learn to look at somebody and love them instead of judge them, that's gonna make the biggest difference on this planet.
Yeah, I mean, if we can connect from our hearts are, I mean, I feel like our hearts are the brains of our soul. So, our soul lives through our heart connection. And if we can vibrate with open hearts, and we were all vibrating with open hearts, there would be a ripple that would go through the entire planet for sure, 110%. And I know that like Linda will take walks along the beach and pick up garbage. When I go hiking, I bring bags with me and I pick up garbage. And it's like, I'm like, well, I'm doing what I can do, and I have to like really pause and not like be mad at the people who are littering. I'm like, okay, bless them. They don't know any better, like I'm so annoyed with them, but I have to like stop myself and be like, okay, don't send them anger, because that's not going to help. Would you want to say, Linda?
Yeah, and to add to that, it's setting the example through your actions. Because when I do go to the beach and I'm picking up trash, on my way back, I will often meet the same people that gave me funny looks, and they'll come with these huge bags of trash that they've picked up, and they'll show it to me, and they'll smile, and they're very proud, and they're like, I never thought about doing this before. And, there's this part of me that goes, really? And I just celebrate with them. Like, good for you. This is awesome. you know, if we could, and look, if you do this, then somebody else is going to do it.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
it's just that paying it forward in attitude that we all have the opportunity to do.
Amen.
Yes.
I've done that too, where I've had a bag of trash and I'm hauling through the trail, and someone says, "Oh, thank you for doing that." And I said, "Earth gives us so much. This is the least I can give back to her." And so it's kind of like giving that mindset of like, Earth is giving to us Earth is giving us everything every single day. The least I can do is pick up the refuse that's on her body that does not belong to her, you know? So that's beautiful. So hopefully that will maybe inspire some people watching the show to do that too. Just put a bag, just put baggies in your backpack or your purse or whatever it is you're carrying, your back pocket, and just, you know, do that gift. And it feels good to do it. It feels good to pick up the trash off the earth and say, I just cleaned this.
It does. It does. And then just to do even simple things, you know, not, of course, certainly cleaning up the earth, but even just doing the smallest act of kindness for people. And it makes such a difference in their lives and in yours, even if you don't think about it, like holding the door open for somebody, or, oh, can I carry that heavy box for you, or whatever it is. And more than it does for you, it does for that other person, and it gives them hope. And then it inspires them to, hey, somebody was nice to me, I'm going to go do that to somebody else. And
110%. Oh, that's so beautiful. I just feel, I love this conversation.
And I would encourage, which is the most difficult part, the people who you disagree with the most, showing that kindness and that love through example, and that hand to try to understand why they're feeling the way they do. Because I think that when we look at it as a whole, we're all wanting the same thing. We're all wanting to have a better future for our kids and safety. And we're just going about it in very different ways.
Yes.
Exactly.
And showing that example of kindness can, again, same thing, ripple.
Yes. Yeah. And it helps me to look from the perspective of that, you know, everybody has different karmic lessons that they're here to learn. Everybody has different experiences in their life or their childhood, or, you know, from their culture and everything like that. So just remind myself of that everybody's really doing the best that they can where they are at the time. And also, you know, studying astrology too has opened up so much more in me to understand people and where they're coming from, and you know, understanding that everybody has a different journey, and not that astrology is just like, oh yeah, you know, this personality fits with that sign kind of thing. But no, it goes so much deeper into learning why they're here. Astrology goes into the whole karmic matter of things as well, and so it helps people to understand that,
come back into balance. Well, let's flip into the conversation about this Sasquatch family reunion, and let's talk about what we can yay, right? So, not to make anybody jealous, we're not trying to do that. Jillian's giving me a look. I wish to God I could just teleport Jillian and Linda to the event. We're gonna get Jillian a fake American passport so she can just smuggle her across the border at some point. But and also I want to pick the Canadian one, because I'm like, I want to go to Canada. Anyway, that's another conversation. Right? Yeah, I want to attend my niece's. Oh, I can't talk about that yet. I want to blow any. Yeah, that hasn't happened yet. Anyway, so at the gathering, you've had these gatherings. It's a new location. It's in Kettle, Washington. And what do people experience when they're at a gathering? What are some of the stories that you have from previous gatherings of people's encounters, whether it was psychic, physical? Because you've also said that it's not just a reunion for people, but Sasquatch from all over the planet are coming and connecting with each other. You may not see them, but they're there on at least an energetic level, if not physical. But you tell us about it. What fill in those details?
Yeah, so a lot of people have had first time experiences, or first of all, I should say that so many people don't even know how they ended up here. Like they were guided and they had never heard anything about it, or they were invited, or something. I mean, certainly some people plan it, but some people are just like, I don't even know how this came into my life, but I'm so grateful. And I can't tell you, I've lost count of how many people have told me that attending this event has completely changed their lives. And it's so good to hear that, just it's initiated some kind of really big healing in their lives. And so some of the experiences that people have had, well, that's one of the main ones, is some kind of revolution that they've received. A lot of people have very active dreams during this that involve Sasquatch. Sasquatch come to you in many different forms, dreams or in visions, or they shape shift, and so a lot of times there'll be a bird, or a moose or whatever, but that's actually a Sasquatch, or a tree. Like there's been many times where walking on a trail, you see a tree that was never there before, and then next time you look, it's not there again, that kind of thing. And so they're able to join us in many ways. So a lot of people have shared stories about that, about shape shifting incidences.
Julian's got a question for you.
Okay, yeah. There's also been a lot of UFO activity at these events too.
Oh, okay. So there's UFO activity.
And people
okay.
Yes.
Hop in, Julian. What do you want to ask?
Yeah, well, I was just gonna say, I think it was last week, maybe a week and a half before, I do meditations and I see different people. I see ET races and this and that. And I had never seen a Sasquatch. And this one particular meditation, I saw one and it was right in my face. And
yes.
it's one of those things, like sometimes I get a lot of visuals during my meditations and I can't quite remember them like when I'm done, and they come back to me a bit after. But yeah, it was like the furry face and just right there, and I just wanted to out. That was cool.
Yeah, a lot of people experience that too, where there's so many different kinds of dreams or meditations, but yeah, they'll get a clear vision, or they just feel this really strong presence. A lot of people get shaky, cold chills, kind of, not that it's super unpleasant, but yeah, I mean, definitely physical reactions to things. Yeah, there's just been so many stories that I've heard from people. Many of them are touched. Yeah.
They're touched?
Yeah. Okay. A lot of people feel touched. Yeah.
And you said also that some people will feel this incredible amount of overwhelming love where they just break down and cry. Like there's this love beam directly to their heart.
Yes, I've heard that from so many people, and I've experienced it myself, and there's hardly words to describe it. There's not. You have to experience it to really know. But it's like a beam of love just going into your heart center, and it radiates throughout your whole body. You feel like you're filled with light, and really, I mean, I don't know if it's just me, but there's really nothing else that you can do but cry and release it and just experience it. And for me, and for many others, that's how they respond to it, is just by crying. Because what better way to release and express yourself, really? Some people actually laugh hysterically. People handle emotional things in different kinds of ways. And if you think about, anything exciting that might happen in life, you find out you're going to be a grandparent, or whether it be something really tragic that happens, we all respond and react very differently emotionally. That doesn't necessarily reflect how we feel. It's a release. And that's what this is. When people feel this heart love beam, they say that it's and in my personal experience too, it's so healing. It's like it's this total cleanse. It's a rebalancing of the chakras. I'm not sure even what words to put with it, but it's amazing. Yeah.
And that's magical. And I'm so excited just to meet people. Like if I have any experiences, that will be a blessing. I just want to be there and hug people and talk to people and get to know people and have community. And what can people expect in terms of people who are coming in to this event? What sort of talks are going to be given? What sort of activities, workshops? What can people look forward to?
Yeah, well, we have we start the day off in the morning with a morning circle every day, and so everybody that can or is willing to participate, which is usually everybody, we have a big circle and we share whatever it is. I make some announcements that need to be said, but we open it up with a prayer, sometimes a song, sometimes some kind of movement to start us off for the day, interactive different things. And then we also have the opportunity for our presenters for the day to share who they are and what they're going to be sharing. And then, we have meals available too. Of course, a lot of people just eat on their own time. They bring their own food and snacks and things like that. But we'll have some food available, at certain times. And then, so we'll have a series of workshops, and usually there's going to be at least 3 workshops happening at once, and so you can choose which one of the 3 that you want to attend, and they'll be repeated so that you'll have an opportunity. If you're just like, oh, I can't decide which one, you can decide on the next one the next day or in another session or something like that. So yeah, and that way most people have an opportunity to see or hear what they want to hear the most. And so, and in the evening, we'll have some kind of ceremony. On Friday night this year, the Chinos will do their collective frequency sound bath. It's incredible. Wow. It's the most incredible sound bath that you've ever experienced. They have every instrument and wonderful thing that you can think of, and it's very powerful. There's I've never heard any complaints or it's just so many, such a great experience. On Saturday evening, we'll have a music circle, drum circle, dancing, singing, whatever. We're going to get loud and make a lot of music. And then on Sunday evening, and this is after all of the workshops and things, we're going to have something that we call the Angel Wash, which I'm considering renaming the Sasquatch Wash. But at least for this. And it's a really beautiful healing ceremony that everybody can participate in, where we're all like really healing each other. And so everything's optional. Nothing has to be, participated in. But some of the topics.
You could call it the Angel Sass Bath.
There we go. So we'll have, music. Forest Green has spoken here the last 3 years. He's doing experiencing and integrating the language of light through sound, frequency, and music. Oh, wow. We'll have workshops on kind of how to develop telepathy. Yes. Messages from the high galactic councils. Christina Schwind is, oh man, her teachings are so wonderful. She's going to be doing some Sasquatch teachings for multidimensionals, and also forgiveness, alchemy, and unwinding intuitive blind spots. So there's so many really wonderful things to learn here. Alex Urbina is doing being versus doing, and the be, do, have principle. So a lot of it, just learning to create. Garrett Duncan, activate, integrate, and accelerate. We'll also, Laura Barton is going to be joining us this year. She's a new speaker, and she's going to have a couple of sessions of high vibrational expansion group healing sessions. Her workshop, she's actually asking for a sacred exchange of $25 to participate in that one. The other ones are all included in the ticket price. This one's a little something extra special, and so so we'll have that available. And then we'll have some things going on for kids, rock painting and story time, and you know, things like that. Light language, we're going to have astrology topics. So those are just some examples. And you know, and then we do a lot of earth grid. I'm going to talk about some things about some Sasquatch wisdom and things too. But I'm also feeling very strongly this year that we should all participate in a medicine wheel building together.
Ooh.
Yeah, so
Cool.
I'm going to lead something like that. I don't know how that's going to unfold yet, but.
And that's the part of the magic, is going with the flow. I know that I'm going to attend this and have like a nice group of new people to bring onto the show. So even if people aren't able to attend, I can bring some of those people onto our show and we can still experience their teaching.
Yeah.
So there'll be a nice.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. And so also facility wise, it's camping. So you want to bring a tent. I know that you guys are also, so there is running water for flushing toilets, which is awesome, but there's not a shower facility. However, 2 miles away in the local town, there is a truck stop area that has showers that people can use. So, and also you can just hop in the lake. You can hop in the lake.
Right. Yeah. We're on the lake, so yeah, you could always take a dip or dive anytime that you want to. They do have nice restrooms, flushing toilets, and regular, you know, plumbing sinks and everything. And there will be a couple of showers available. I have one, and another gentleman's bringing one that's just like in one of those, a shower tent basically. So it's a limited, like, you better hurry and get in and out because you're not going to have much water, but it's an opportunity to shower if you need to. I think, you know, 5 gallons. So
you can wipe the stink off.
So yeah, that right. So that will be available, but this and it's all happening. I've got this little map here just to give camera. So this area, no, everything's backwards. Okay, so this area that is not darkened is where everything is going to be occurring. It's all in one loop.
And they can see it on the website.
22 sites, yes. But outside of the camping area, this is called the Lake Roosevelt National, I don't remember what it's called, recreational area. And so they have a lot of different day use areas. They've got a lot of hiking trails. There's a lot of things in that general area that you can do to like really immerse yourself in nature, or to have, you know, more private moments to get away from campers or things like that. So there's a lot of different things available to you. A lot of people just like to go take a private hike in the woods and connect with the Sasquatch. So all of that's available.
That is just huge. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay. Gosh. And so, and really, the event is from the 27th to like the 2nd, right? The 27th of May.
It ends on the 31st. People generally leave on Monday, the 31st, and that's Memorial Day.
Okay.
And most people arrive on Thursday, the 27th.
There it is. Okay.
But the main activities are going to be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So the 28th through the 30th is when all of the workshops and everything will occur. On Thursday evening, we'll have a live band playing for us, a local band of friends, and they're really great. Our friend Seth and his 2 teenage boys, and they wrote several songs that are just like in perfect alignment with everything that we've talked here today. And so there'll be Thursday's more of a hangout, get set up, and then Friday is when everything begins.
It's only $222 for the whole thing. Unless except for the $25 edition for that the one workshop where it's a little extra, go in a little deeper dive. Or you can do like you can also just do one night too, which I think is like, if for one night it's just like 75 or something like that.
I have to look that up. I think it's
on the website.
I think it's either 69 or 79. Yeah.
I mean, so it's super affordable in terms of, there are other people who have like a 2-hour workshop that's that much money. You know what I mean? The fact that you're hanging out for like 4 or 5 days is huge. So I want to check in with Linda. Are there any other questions or any other last comments from our wonderful tribe people that are watching today?
Well, I asked for clarification, but didn't. Somebody wanted to know if Big Brothers were going to be there as well. I didn't know if it was like
I'm pretty sure they mean Sasquatch.
Yeah,
because that's a word that people refer to them as. So yes, they'll definitely be there. I can't guarantee any kind of physical interaction or sighting, but they'll most definitely be there. And anybody that's even just the slightest bit sensitive, I'm sure you'll be able to feel it. And it's the energy of the people in the community and everybody coming together that's just, it's just so expansive. It's really beautiful. You're gonna love it, Kat.
I know.
You're gonna be a regular.
Oh God. Yeah. Oh my God. When Barbara Jean, our dear Barbara Jean Lindsay, who's been on our show multiple times because we love her so much, she invited me. She told me about it at the beginning of the month, and I was like, oh my God, I can actually do that. I was like, I can do that. There's enough time to give notice to make it all happen. So that's what I'm going to be focusing on from now until the event time. I'm going to be getting all my stuff in a row. I have a friend, our friend Kevin Lockwood, who was on the show. It's so family oriented here. He's lent me his tent. He lent me a cookware, a sleeping bag. Like he just loaded me up with a bunch of stuff. So I have all of this stuff already ready. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna bring some offerings there for our friends and just be able to share some goodness. Is there anything else that you want to, before we close it up, because we want to close it up here right at the beginning, top of the hour, at the very latest. Anything else that you want to share? I put your websites below. Anything else, or is that what we just want to focus on? Is inviting people to the Sasquatch family reunion?
Yeah, mainly at this point, especially because it's just 2 weeks away. So that's kind of what I'm all immersed in and everything too. So yeah, but if you shared the links, for more information about the Sasquatch and what it's all about, visiting sasquatchmessage.com is excellent. It has a lot of the history, and there's like a blog page that has a lot of different stories and articles and channeled messages, so that you can understand them a little better. And I also just wanted to say about the gathering, I don't think I mentioned it before, but we'll have kind of a community altar there. So if there's anything that you want to bring for the altar, you bring it home with you, but it's something that can, whatever kind of object that you might want to bring to integrate this whole experience and bring back with you. We usually do that every year.
Nice. Oh, that's beautiful. All right, awesome. Well, I want to thank Kelly for being with us today. I want to thank Linda, and I want to thank Jillian, and I want to thank everybody in the live stream for being there with us. We super appreciate your presence. And again, those links are all below in our description box. So the links that Kelly was referring to should be down below in our description box. Again, if you feel inspired to share a blessing with us and you want to buy us a virtual coffee, we love your donations. We love your patronage, and just thank you for doing that with us. And yeah, remember to share our videos out in your social media. If you're not already a subscriber, click that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, because we don't always go live at the same time. We try to, but that's not going to happen every time. Speaking of which, my intent next week is to have Karen Swain back on our show. Karen Swain has been an inspiration and a teacher and a guide for me, and she's this Australian powerhouse for the metaphysical community in the Sydney and regional area. So we hope to have her back on. But final words are thank you, Kelly. We appreciate you being here. Bless you. We love you. And I can't wait to hug you in person in just
I know, yay.
All right.
Yes, well, thank you so much. Bless you all.
Thank you, Kelly. Blessings,
Have a
everyone.
wonderful weekend.
You too. Have a great
Okay.
strong end, everyone. We'll see you next time.
See you, everybody. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah.